Well, good morning and welcome back out to another edition of the Hiking Journal. Today we're going to be taking a trip out to just to the north of Anza to a place called the Cahuilla Mountain Wilderness. I've been to Cahuilla Mountain a couple of times. There's Cahuilla Mountain, there's also Little Cahuilla Mountain, and there's another one called Cahuilla. They're all kind of right in the same area, but it's in an area that's not highly traveled. There's a paved road that goes for a little portion of it, and then you hit a Forest Service road, which is actually pretty well maintained, and then there's a turnoff to a junction, and that's where the real fun starts. That's where 6S22 starts. It's a little rougher Forest Service road that basically goes all the way across the range to the west, and at the top of one of the ridge lines is a little pull-off area, and that's the trailhead for the Cahuilla Mountain Trail. Now, Cahuilla Mountain is about 5,600 feet or so, and it's got a tremendous view from the top, overlooking all of the San Jacinto Range to the east, and San Gorgonio to the north and east, and even out to Mount Baldy to the northwest. It's also got a tremendous view over toward Thomas Mountain and Toro and Santa Rosa Mountain, as well as everything to the south, including the entire Palomar Range. So it's got a phenomenal view from up there. And believe it or not, nobody ever goes up there. And I've been up there several times. Once you get to the actual summit, there's a rock pile and an ammo can with a sign and register. And it's a pretty, I don't know, boring summit. There's really not a lot to see from up there because it's surrounded by brush. But what most people don't know is if you continue past the summit, you go about another 100 feet or so, 200 feet through the brush, you come to this tremendous overlook with a sheer cliff down to Anza below. And that's the goal today, is to go up the Cahuilla Mountain Trail, work my way up to the top of Cahuilla Mountain and get to that viewpoint. I'm also going to be working as a patrol, so I'll be in uniform today. You don't need a permit to hike there, so I don't need to do that. And I honestly don't think I'm going to run into anybody on the trail today. So anyway, but before I get started, I just wanted to say, with the new year, 2026, you really have to be careful when you do winter hiking, especially anything that involves mountains and snow and ice. Just on the news a couple of days ago, on the trail up on Mount Baldy, if you've ever been to Mount Baldy, how I always go is the Sierra Club ski hut route. It takes you up to the ski hut and works your way up to the top of Mount Baldy from the west. And once you get to the top, you can head to the east, northeast. Actually, yeah, I guess it's just east, along the ridgeline in front of Mount Harwood, and you get to a section called the Devil's Backbone. And it's called that for a reason, because for about a couple hundred yards, there's a section where it's got a ridgeline like this, and you're right on the crest. And it's 5,000 feet on both sides, straight down to the forest below. And it's steep, and it's covered in snow, and it ices up every year. And I swear, every year, somebody tries to cross that section that doesn't have the proper training. They don't have an ice axe, they don't have crampons, they don't have the necessary skill or partners that are able to help them across that section. And I wouldn't even advise even going across that. It's scary enough during dry seasons. I've gone that way several times. There's no way I would ever attempt to do that in the winter. Over the weekend, a couple of teenagers decided they were going to go up to the top of Mount Baldy, which they did. Once they got up to the top, they went across the Devil's Backbone section. One of the teenagers slipped and fell over 500 feet down into the icy chute below, and his hiking climbing partner went back on the trail and found a location where he had cell phone coverage and called 911. Search and rescue crews got there via helicopter, but the wind was atrocious, and they couldn't really get to him. They couldn't stabilize the helicopter, so they had to come back. Once the wind finally subsided, they were able to lower one of the search and rescue workers, probably a deputy sheriff or a paramedic, down into the chute. And not only did he find the 19-year-old hiker deceased in the bottom of the ravine, in the bottom of the chute, he also found 2 additional bodies from 2 other hikers that had also fallen to their death. So 3 deaths on the Mount Baldy Trail along the Devil's Backbone. So anyway, it's wintertime. Don't go up there. I honestly don't know why the National Forest Service keeps that section of trail open because the people that go up there don't have the knowledge and skill and training necessary to complete a hike like that in the winter.
A horrific scene playing out this morning on Mount Baldy. 3 hikers in 2 separate incidents have been found dead on the mountain. One of those victims reportedly fell around 500 feet. Our Scott Reif is live overhead in Air 7 with more. Scott.
Yeah, Roy, what a sad story, and it shows you how dangerous it is to hike here in Mount Baldy with the high winds that we had yesterday. This all started yesterday afternoon, or I should say morning, around 11:30. The Sheriff's Department got a call from a group of hikers that said one of their hikers fell some 500 feet. So the Sheriff's Department sent their helicopter out to this area, Devil's Backbone. It's on the north side of Mount Baldy. They were able to get the helicopter in, spot the hiker, a 19-year-old man. We don't know that individual's name, but they had to leave because of the high winds. They came back later on in the afternoon to try a recovery, and they found 2 more bodies, 2 other hikers. Now they were able to get a medic down to the bodies and actually confirm they've all 3 been killed, but they weren't able to lift them out to do the recovery with Sheriff's Air Rescue 9. It was just too risky, and it looks like the weather's moving in once again here, Rory, so I don't think they're going to attempt that anytime soon, but certainly a sad story. And once again, authorities are trying to tell everybody, do not hike in some of these trails up here in Mount Baldy when we have those high Santa Ana winds. It can be treacherous, and now we know it can be deadly. Rory?
Yeah, really sad scene playing out there. Scott, thank you so much.
And then having said that, I also read there was another hiker that was lost for about 7-8 days over near Idlewild, and he had, what it sounds like, went up and over the ridge line and down along the Art Smith Trail, which I was just at like a week ago. And they had to land a helicopter. They had to close Highway 74, and they had to land a helicopter right outside of the Art Smith Trailhead, and they had to air evac him to a hospital. So there's 3 fatalities and 1 near fatality, all within the last 4 days in the hiking community.
27-year-old Daniel Hernandez was rescued on the Art Smith hiking trail. News Channel 3 was there as the rescue helicopter landed so an ambulance could take him to the hospital. Fire crews responded to a report of an injured person on the trail, which is where they discovered Hernandez, who was last seen near Highway 74. We are told he is in stable condition.
So anyway, this time of year, if you don't have the skills and training and partners to go with you, just go somewhere flat, Wait a few more weeks until some of the snow melts maybe, or maybe go to a safer trailhead that doesn't have that exposure. Anyway, so that's my soapbox. But in the meantime, we're going to head out to Cahuilla Mountain, and we're going to be heading up the Cahuilla Mountain Trail, and hopefully I'll run into some hikers along the way. Alrighty, stick around. So now I'm heading on 6S22. I'm in 4-wheel drive now just because it's really rutted. We'll see how bad the road is. I have to go to the top of the ridge up here, and that'll get me to the official trailhead. It's a little chilly right here, but it's supposed to be really warm today. It's in the 50s right now. It was in the 40s at my house. We'll see how bad this truck trail is. The road up to this point was pretty good. I did read that the road conditions were pretty rutted. But that was like 4 months ago, last trip report, so we'll see. Hopefully it won't be too bad. I don't think I'm going to have to air down or anything like that. It's not that bad. It's just a truck trail, forest truck trail. So I do have 4-wheel drive, but I probably don't even need that. On the way out here, when I pulled off the highway and I started going down the dirt section, I ran into it looked like an old beat-up pickup truck backed in, and it's a little rocky right here. And just past that, I saw movement in the brush, and I saw a man and a son with a rifle. So they were slowly walking out through the brush. I don't know if they were hunting rabbits or quail, I don't really know. It looked like he had a .22. And the boy was young, he was probably 7 or 8. So maybe it looked like maybe the grandpa or something was taking the grandson out. Hopefully that's all that was. But anyway, so far the road hasn't been too bad. And probably in about 10 minutes here we'll be at the trailhead and we can start our wilderness patrol up here in the Cahuilla Mountain Wilderness near Anza, California. There's actually two Cahuillas. There's a Cahuilla Mountain and there's a little Cahuilla. I've been to both of them before and I have videos on both. There's also one that's on the way to the big Cahuilla Mountain. It's called Cahuilla. And I've been up there before too as well, and it does not have a benchmark. I was kind of bummed about that, but scrambled up there and didn't have a benchmark or even a sign and register or anything, so it was kind of a bummer. But we'll see what happens today. I don't think I'll run into anybody. It's a pretty desolate area. Not a lot of hikers go up here. And like I said, there's only been, I think, 2 trip reports in the last 4 or 5 months. Anyway, I should be there in a few minutes. Well, when you come up the Forest Service Road up to Cahuilla Mountain, this is basically the widest spot here. This is about the best place to park. And there is no sign for the Cahuilla Mountain Trail. And I'll spin around and I'll show you. San Jacinto Peak was way in the background. And this is actually looking to the west. The Forest Service Road continues up that way over toward Little Cahuilla and eventually Red Mountain. And this is actually the trailhead. There used to be a sign back in the day that said Cahuilla Mountain Trail, and now there's nothing. All you got is this. Well, good morning and welcome back out here to another edition of Backcountry Trails. Today I'm up here in the Cahuilla Mountain Wilderness, and I'm going to be doing a patrol up to the top of Cahuilla Mountain. I had to take a Forest Service road. It's pretty rough, pretty rugged, a lot of ruts and dips and sharp boulders, but you know, I got a Jeep, so I'm okay. Drove up here, parked at, there isn't really a trailhead per se. There's no signs to let you know that the trailhead is here, but I've been here before, and there's a little gap in the brush up here with the split in the barbed wire fence. And just a little paddle marker that indicates it's a pedestrian right away, so for horses and hikers. So anyway, so that's where we're going to be going today. Should be a round trip hike of about 6 miles if I make it all the way to the top of Cahuilla Mountain. And it's only got an elevation gain of about 1,350 feet, so it's not too bad. I ought to make pretty quick work of it. The only thing that might hold me back today is I've got some brand new boots, and they're really heavy logger boots. And I'm breaking them in. So you don't break in heavy leather boots on a hike, but I wore them a couple of days and they seem okay, so we'll see how far I get today. I don't think I'm going to run into anybody. Like I said, it's a pretty desolate area. Checking all trails, there's only been 2 trip reports in the last probably 6 months. So that just tells you there's not a lot of activity. There are a couple of areas that I read from prior trip reports that are overgrown. I might be doing a little bit of bushwhacking. There is a tick problem up here, so I have to really check good to make sure I don't bring any ticks home. I'm not wearing a long sleeve shirt, I'm wearing a short sleeve today, but I should be able to see the ticks on my arms. I am wearing pants too, that ought to help with the brush. And I did read there was a couple of downed trees across the trail, so I brought my GPS and I'm going to be marking those locations. And on my wilderness report, trail report, when I get back home, I'm going to make note of the locations, and maybe if we can get lucky, we can get a crew up here and take care of that, and maybe clear some brush along the way. So anyway, follow me up the Cahuilla Mountain Trail, up the top of Cahuilla Mountain. That'll all be next in this edition of Backcountry Trails. It's getting hot already. Well, as I'm working my way up above the truck trail, I've climbed steeply up here to this turn in the trail. This section of the trail is actually heading to the east, but off in the distance, you have a great view off on this side over here is Thomas Mountain, Big Thomas, and then Little Thomas to the left of it. And then back over that direction is Mount San Jacinto. And San Jacinto is the tall, it's actually not, it's actually Marion Mountain, but you might be able to see San Jacinto poking its head out on the backside. To the right of that, you'll see that sharp ridge line that works its way up from left to right. That's the South Ridge. If you've ever gone to Tuckwitz Peak And you've taken the south ridge. That's basically the alignment of the trail. And at the top of that ridge line, right at that secondary peak, that's Takowitz Peak where the fire lookout is. Also to the left, you'll see that valley, that depression in the ridgeline. That's Strawberry Valley, and that's right above the town of Idlewild. So when you go to Idlewild, you go into the town at the bottom of that valley, and you work your way up on the left side of that ridgeline, up the Devil's Slide Trail, up to the top of the junction up there. That's Saddle Junction. And from there, you'll go southbound on the PCT, and then work your way right up to the top of Takowitz Peak. But that's not where we're going today. We're going this direction. We're going to be heading up to the top of Cahuilla Mountain. And even though it's warming up, there is a decent breeze, so that'll help. Like I said, I don't think I'll see anybody today. The other thing I want to mention real quick, if you ever do any hikes in this area, especially primarily on the Anza side, which is to the left and to the, in front of me on the other side, there's a lot of ranches out here, a lot of private property, a lot of ranches that are surrounded by chain link fences, and mixed in with the normal good people that are raising cattle and horses up here that just love the desolate lifestyle. It's also mixed in with a lot of meth labs. There's a lot of meth labs. There's a lot of doomsday preppers out here. There's a lot of illegal activity that goes on out here. A lot of drug possession, drug sales, drug manufacturing. Riverside County Sheriff's Department routinely comes out here and investigates sources of potential hazardous chemicals from the methamphetamine manufacturing process. And just on the way up here, I ran across several turnoffs that had chain link fences with warning signs and big drums that are abandoned, scattered throughout the property, debris and trash everywhere, a lot of old rundown mobile homes. I don't know if somebody's living in them or using them as their work shack to manufacture methamphetamine, who knows. I did run across one turnoff that was flying a great big rebel flag, so that kind of lets you know what kind of area you're into. But on this side, this direction, going to the west toward Lake Riverside, that's a gated community that has some pretty nice houses back there. They've got their own man-made lake. And last time I was up here, I ran into some hikers from the top that actually hiked up to Cahuilla Mountain from Lake Riverside, from that side. And that seems like it's a little better area, but that area is not open to the public. So in the meantime, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to head up this way and continue working my way up to the top of Cahuilla Mountain. And tell you what, man, this breeze feels really good right here. A bit of cloud cover, I think that helps too. As we're working our way up the trail, I get a pretty good view of San Gorgonio now, and a better view of, you can actually see Black Mountain along with San Jacinto and Takowitz Peak and Thomas Mountain over here. And a great view of the valley below. It looks like there's a pond, some kind of water source over there, just to the right of those water tanks. And the trail is definitely getting steeper. I just came up one really short but steep section as I'm working my way directly into the sun. I'm kind of thankful there's a good breeze and there's a little bit of cloud cover. Well, you have a little better idea of where we're headed. Cahuilla Mountain is up that direction. It's actually on the other side of that right there. You can see the cut in the hillside, like right in there. That's where our trail is going to be going. Well, this is our first decent view of the pines at the upper elevations on Cahuilla Mountain. And we still have that phenomenal view to the north and east. You know, as I'm working my way up this ridge line here on the way to Cahuilla, you know, you think to yourself, why does that name sound familiar, Cahuilla? Well, besides there being Big Cahuilla and Little Cahuilla and Coahuilla, there's also Cahuilla Peak or Cahuilla Mountain in Palm Springs. I've actually been there too. Well, as I'm working my way up toward the head of this little canyon here, you've got a great view down canyon and my tremendous view overlooking the valley to the east and almost south. That's Santa Rosa and Toro Peak back there in the background. I'm loving this breeze. This is red-shaped manzanita right here. You can see a lot of that. But as I'm working my way up toward the saddle, yeah, I was thinking about that older man that had that young boy with the rifle, most likely an old Marlin or an old Remington 22. Yeah, it reminds me when I was a kid, my dad took me down to the gun store, Bolsa Gunsmithing, and it was in Westminster. It looked like it was a gunsmith store along with a guns and ammo place, and he bought me my first rifle. It was a Remington Nylon 66. Held, I think, 22 rounds. They were, as they would say, 22 lung rifle. Buying them cheap, stacking them deep. Held 22 rounds, all fed into the butt of this automatic rifle, semi-automatic rifle. And tell you what, that sucker never jammed, ever. And I was doing some research on it, I don't know, a couple years back, and discovered actually held a record at one time for the most amount of firing without jamming. The whole stock is nylon. There's no wood in it. Got a steel barrel and a nylon polymer stock. And you know what? I still have it. I bet you that thing still works. So I'm climbing up toward my first pine tree. You know, I'm not too far from the top of the ridgeline, and looking across the head of this canyon, I can see what looks like a game trail on the other side. And this is a prime location for deer. They can go to the higher elevations in the pines and take in that cool breeze when it's hot. The breeze will keep the flies at bay. And when it's time for bed, they go down into the thicker brush and bed down for the day. There's probably little, if no, hunting pressure up here. Perfect location for deer. I've seen a lot of deer scat on the trail so far too, so it makes sense. Now, as I'm getting a little higher up in elevation, besides seeing a lot more deer scat, I'm running across more of this. It's got manzanita berries in it, so it could be very well be a coyote, fox maybe. Who knows? Maybe it's from a bobcat. A little too small to be a mountain lion. As I'm working my way up this steep section toward the top of the saddle between Cahuilla and Cahuilla, you notice these big leaves down here? The trail is littered with these, and these are leaves from the California black oak. You run into those sometimes over Vulcan Mountain's got a bunch, top of Hot Springs Mountain. Usually you see them a little higher elevations. Starting to see quite a bit of acorns up here now, courtesy of the oak trees at this mid-elevation. You can also see somebody's done some trail work up here, some maintenance. I was up here a couple years ago. I ran into a CCC, or California Conservation Corps crew that was working the trail. Saw quite a few saw cuts. No major blowdowns or anything, just brush, but it's still appreciated of them to come up here. And like I said, I don't know who did this. I don't know if this was just a Forest Service trail crew or the CCC, but whoever did it, we appreciate it. As we are getting higher, you see some larger and larger species of manzanita. We're almost at the saddle. You can see the pine tree at the end there. That's it. Well, just when I was enjoying my little nice meandering little rolling terrain, they spring this on me. Looks like they've added some logs to help keep back the erosion. I'm almost at the saddle, but I'm paying for it now. Well, the saddle's right ahead of me, but they're making me pay for it, that's for sure. Cahuilla Mountain is to the left over there, and Cahuilla is to your right. And we're only probably 100, 200 yards from the saddle. Maybe I'll take a short break there, get caught up on hydration, get me a snack. Well, it looks like I finally reached the saddle. This is the scenic part of the trail for me. This section is gorgeous. Nice meandering little meadows, tall grass. And it goes basically to the south on the west side of the ridgeline. There'd be some great spots for an overnight backpack camp. The only problem is up here, there's no water. Well, as I finally reached the saddle, and this is my first glimpse onto the other side, Cahuilla Mountain. This is our view looking to the south and west. There's a lake down there. I have a feeling that's probably Skinner. Way off in the distance is Saddleback Peak, and around to the left is the Palomar Range. Ocean is out that way. We're going to be traversing the ridgeline, skirting the side of the hill on the west side of Cahuilla Mountain. Well, here's another great view looking at the valley to the north and west from the west side of Cahuilla Mountain. Well, here's a large pine cone and a down tree. It's rotten. So I'm working my way along the slope here. Well, here's a very large pine tree covered in woodpecker holes. But thankfully there's enough branches where you can go under it. I am going to mark it with my GPS. Maybe they can cut this thing back. Well, this looks like as good a place as any to take a break. I'm not too far. The summit's right behind me, but I've been up there before, and there's really not much up there. It's just dirt, red rocks. There's no view. I am going to go up there, but and I'll shoot some video up there in a minute. But this is a better spot for a break. It's got some shade, a little bit of grass. There's a lot of gnats. Over the last quarter mile, I've just been swarmed with gnats. But I am going to take a minute and show you something. You ever seen a coulter pine? This is what they call the coulter pine. This is the widowmaker. These are probably 5 pounds, and they grow from trees that are 100 feet high. So this is probably 6 inches, 8 inches in diameter, 5 pounds. Imagine getting hit in the head with this one. So these boots are new, and it's not a good idea. I mean, I know better, but I wanted to wear them. But when it's 75 outside, yeah, it's probably in the low 60s here, but these are Chippewa loggers. And the only thing bad about these is the fact that they're insulated with 400 grams of thinsulate. So they're meant for cold weather, which this is not. So my feet are sweating pretty good. And if everybody knows, two of the worst things you can do when breaking in boots is to have wet feet and friction. So wearing thick wool socks and an insulated boot, my feet are swimming right now. So I'm going to take a few minutes and maybe try to air them out a little bit. On some of the uphills, I kind of thought I got a tiny bit of hot spot on the back and it went away. So maybe that's it. Since I did wrap my toe with some KT tape, that's pretty much gone away. But I am going to take a peek at it. Maybe I can dry my feet out a little bit. And I am wearing liner socks, which help quite a bit. They don't absorb the sweat because they're mainly polyester, but there's my my blue KT tape. But looks pretty good actually. other than being hot, not so bad. Well, this is it. This is the summit of Cahuilla Mountain. According to the signs, 5,640 feet. And here is the sign-in register for it. So I'll take a few minutes and sign in. And people complain about this peak. They said there's no good view because of the trees. What they don't know is if you go that way through the brush, about another 50 yards, you have a tremendous cliff and a view right down into Anza. We're gonna go do that here in a minute. First, I gotta sign in. Now, I noticed this the last time I was up here. I noticed a faint use trail going to the due south from the summit, and I kind of took the use trail and kind of wandered down this way just to see what I could get to, and came across this tremendous viewpoint. Actually, it's up there. There's another use trail that continues to the right, and this is the spot. How is this for a eagle's perch? What a tremendous spot here up on Cahuilla Mountain. Wow. That's our view looking to the south and to the west. That's Lake Riverside off in the distance. You know, when I was looking at the regulations for this hike up to Cahuilla Mountain, one of the things that I noticed, which struck me as odd, is there's no bicycles. It's a wilderness, I get that. There are no hang gliders. I thought, why would you bring a hang glider up 2,000 feet over 3 miles to get to the top of here when there's no view? Well, turns out from this spot right here, we have a stiff breeze blowing up this extreme drop-off right here. And this would be a prime location to launch your hang glider. You know, rules come about because somebody has done something stupid. Maybe somebody tried it, crashed into the rocks down here and had to be rescued, who knows? Great view of Santa Rosa, Toro Peak, San Jacinto Range, Thomas Mountain, Palomar. Pretty much see it all from up here. Now I just gotta go get me something for lunch. If I can get down without falling. It's kind of scary up here, actually. It's not quite as easy as it looks to scramble. This tree's kind of cool too. All right, let's go find us a spot for a break. There's a huge, deep recess canyon down here, and got a tremendous view over toward Mount Palomar, and that's probably Vail Lake way off in the distance. You can see the edge of Vail Lake. This would be a good spot for peregrine falcon nesting area, or hawk nesting area. And if it wasn't so hot, I would take a break here in this gorgeous view, but that sun is pretty intense right here. I think I'm gonna head back up to the summit. Go find me a shady spot under one of these giant coulter pines. Wow. Pretty impressive though, huh? All from the top of Cahuilla Mountain. Man, that was a little more than I anticipated. This coconut water is going to be good. I got up near the top, and there was just no air. And once I got back on the west side of the ridgeline, swarms of gnats flying around. And probably from the time I reached that saddle almost all the way to the peak, there was probably 20 or 30 buzzing around my eyes and nose and mouth. I can't even imagine how many I ate, probably a dozen. And there wasn't a breath of air, and it was hot. Temperature-wise, it's not that hot. It's only supposed to be 75 or 80 today, but it sure felt a lot more than that. But I went through 2 complete liters of water, which is rare for me. And about a third of the way back, I started feeling really bad. Started getting nauseated, started to cramp up a little bit. I knew it was a little bit of dehydration and I was just overheating. So I found a spot in the shade. I took off the shirt I was wearing under my uniform shirt and took off my ball cap, got out my bandana and soaked it in water, and wiped my face down, sat in the shade for about 15 minutes, and drank almost a whole liter of water. And it made a big difference. Now I've got my coconut water, which always helps refresh me at the end of a hike. And you know how many hikers I saw today? None. Not one hiker. Other than the older man with the boy and the rifle down at the trailhead, nobody. That was it. So it was an easy day. Mileage-wise, it was only 6 miles. But elevation gain wasn't that much either. It was 1,400 feet. But the heat, the lack of wind, and but believe it or not, it's pretty steep. There were some sections that it was slow going. And the part that I was worried the most about today was my new boots, my logger boots. And that was the least of my issues. I did stop at one point, and I put some KT tape on one of the toes. It was starting to get raw a little bit. And then also, right on the way back when I took that break in the shade, I broke out some little patches of KT tape, and I I put them on my heels. And I didn't need it, but just as a precaution. Well, anyway, that's going to do it here from Cahuilla Mountain Trail in the San Bernardino National Forest. Don't forget to hit that click and subscribe button and tap that notification bell so you get the latest updates to the channel when I post them. And don't forget, if I see you up here in the trail, be sure and say hi. All right, well, hope you have a great new year, and I'll catch up with you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Now, I saw these a couple minutes ago. These, I'm pretty sure, are mountain lion paw prints. So I pulled the Jeep over so you get a better look. If you look at them, they're round. There's no toenail marks. Pretty sure those are mountain lions. It's all the way down the road here. I saw them earlier and I didn't stop, but I thought I gotta get a picture of this. Heading that way, right down the road. Well, what'd you think about my adventure up on Cahuilla Mountain? That's a pretty tremendous view, isn't it? It's a great view, and I did not see one single hiker along the trail on that day. The only people I saw was the old man and the grandson, on the dirt access road way down at the beginning before you even get up on the main service road to the trailhead. So it was a great day. I had the mountain all to myself, and it was a little hotter than I thought, and I overheated a little bit, but I was fine once I hydrated and got a couple of salty snacks in me. So, but anyway, it was a good trip. It was a nice little 4-wheel drive adventure and a nice solo hike up the top of Cahuilla Mountain. Well, anyway, don't forget to hit that click and subscribe button, and tap that notification bell so you get the latest updates to the channel when I post them. And I don't know what I'm going to do next. I've kind of got my sights on Stonewall Peak up in the Cleveland National Forest. They're in the Mount Laguna area, Lake Cuyamaca region. I've been to Stonewall, but it's been, I didn't realize it had been this long. It's been over 10 years since I've been up there. So, but I am going to go a different route. I'm not going to do the normal route from the Paso Picacho campground straight up to the top of Stonewall. I'm going to take, I think it's called the Cold Creek Trail or something like that. It's a little circumnavigation around the peak, and I'm going to try that. Anyway, hopefully that'll be coming up here in this next week, as long as we don't get too much. It's supposed to rain today, so quite a bit actually. It's not going to snow because snow level is really high. It's like 9,000 feet, so we're not going to get any snow, but we are going to get some moisture, and we're looking forward to that. Well, anyway, take care, and I'll see you down the trail. Bye-bye.